The Lion King from 1994, the original classic animated film that everyone knows and everyone loves. I had a chance to revisit it this week after many, many years, which was a good opportunity for me to confront the fond childhood memories with reality and see whether the film really holds up as much as people say it does and as much as I tend to say it does. Whether it really is so brilliant or we just all collectively remember it that way. And that's what I tried to do, to look at it with this fresh eye as I would on a film released today, not the beloved classic that I know I'm supposed to love. And the short answer is yes, it is still fantastic. And the 25 years that passed since its release haven't done it any harm whatsoever. I was curious to see how it would compare to the more modern animation, not just in visual terms, but also in regards to storytelling, how the story is constructed. And one minor thing that came to mind was that the central hero journey of Simba, while well written, moves quite fast and could actually be considered contrived if done today. If you think about it, he spends all his life in exile, just dicking around with Timon and Pumbaa, enjoying life without responsibility, and then suddenly all it takes to bring him back is basically one evening and two conversations. And I think if the story was written today, it would have taken more time. Let this particular moment in the story just breathe a little bit more. But that's not really a criticism so much as it is an observation of how I think storytelling, even in animated movies, has gone forward and evolved in all those years. That even in children's stories, we will more often get more consistent characters and more realistic development of those characters. That said, The Lion King still works exceptionally well, purely as a story, which shouldn't be a surprise as it steals from the best. The screenplay was inspired in large part by Hamlet and also by biblical stories of Joseph and Moses. I think that the plot is great in its relative simplicity, and it helps that all of the characters fill their archetypes so well. You never have to wonder who is this character supposed to be, what are his motivations, because it's all so clear. And it is made clear even visually. The way each of the characters is drawn and animated reflects who and how they are. Mufasa has this royal, thoughtful way of moving about him that screams king, responsible king. Scar, on the other hand, is sleek, slimmer, has those snake-like moves and evil eyes. Then you have Simba, in whom you kind of see Mufasa, but not quite yet. He's not there yet in the film. He still has that his own unique brand of the youthful energy, and is quick to act. And that goes on and on for all of the characters. I mean, this isn't some new revelation, but the animation here is just simply brilliant. What was also striking to me was the hand-drawn backgrounds and the color use. I think as a child you don't really consciously notice this, you don't pay attention to those details, but the use of those things in the film is very deliberate and it fits what is going on in the story. At the beginning we have those lushing greens of savannah with colorful animals popping left and right. The Scar scenes are pretty much all done in darkness and shadow with cold color palette. Then you have Mufasa's death and the next couple of scenes, which are all done in washed browns of the desolate sandy areas. And then as Timon and Pumbaa pick up Simba, we're back to lively, healthy greens. If you pay attention, that connection between the tone of the drawings and the tone of the moment in the story is extremely pronounced all the time. And all of this has made me rather nostalgic for the old school 2D hand-drawn animation done by Disney and other Western studios, which seems to have disappeared altogether in the last 10 years or so with the advent of computer-generated 3D animation and Pixar's dominance in the Western market. It's sad to see it so largely gone from Hollywood, especially as it is still doing well elsewhere. If you look to Japan especially, and movies like from Studio Ghibli or from Makoto Shinkai, they're still going strong in terms of the craft. Unfortunately, it just seems that the Pixar style animation is simply doing too well in the West, financially speaking, and I don't expect Disney to ever return to those glory days of animation again, especially as they seem to be more focused on live action remakes of all of their properties nowadays. Coincidentally, The Lion King's remake has been released just this weekend, although calling it live action is factually untrue because the ultra realistically looking film was actually generated entirely on computers. And I have to say, I've been on the fence whether I should go see it or not. On the one hand, it would be interesting to compare the two versions and to just even see the technology in action, because by all accounts, it's just strikingly gorgeous. On the other hand, though, I am against the idea of those remakes in the first place. I think out of all the previous ones, the only one that I've seen in the movie theater or at all was the new Aladdin, and that was mainly just to see how much of a train wreck Will Smith was going to be as Genie. And The Lion King seems to have been done in this sort of as a sort of scene for scene remake with nothing really added to the film. If anything, parts were removed. I hear that Scar's song with the Nazi Hyena March did not make it into the new version, and also a lot of the charm of the original is just gone simply because of the photorealistic animals, which have this limitation of not being able to emote with their faces like humans could. And the animals are also not as lively and free with their movements as they would be in a fully animated version. And I think at the end of the day, I'm gonna skip the remake altogether. The technology, I think I can check out the next time around when they decide to do a new, completely original story. And as for The Lion King itself, I really don't feel that I need to see a new version and be disappointed in it. For me, it is perfect as it is in the original 1994 version, and I intend to keep it that way in my mind.